Naomi didn't see the blow coming. One moment she was locking the side door of the Pacifica Grand Hotel after her shift, and the next, a rough hand yanked her back into the shadows. Her breath jammed in her chest as Darius's voice hissed inches from her ear. "You think you can hide from me?" Her keys clattered to the ground. Her body stiffened. Her pulse thrashed against her ribs as she struggled to keep her voice steady. "Darius, let me go. I'm working." "You always working," he mocked, slamming her wrist into the brick wall hard enough to make her gasp. "Working jobs, working excuses, working my damn patience." Naomi's eyes stung, but she refused to cry in front of him. Not again. Not tonight. She twisted her arm, trying to pull away, but pain flashed up her spine. "Please. My daughter is waiting." Darius smirked, leaning in. "I ain't done with you. You think you can walk out and just raise my kid like I don't exist?" "She's not your kid," Naomi snapped before she could stop herself. His hand flew up like lightning, but it didn't land. A stronger hand caught Darius's wrist midair. A cold, commanding voice sliced through the darkness. "Take your hands off her." Both of them froze. Naomi turned her head and saw the last person she expected, Seo Jinhyuk, the mysterious Korean guest staying in the penthouse suite. He was dressed in a simple gray coat, his expression unreadable, but something sharp and dangerous simmered under the surface. Darius jerked his arm free. "Man, mind your business. This ain't got nothing to do with you." Jinhyuk stepped forward, calm but terrifying. "It does now." Naomi's lungs squeezed tight. She had seen Jinhyuk around the hotel, quiet, observant, distant. People whispered about him, about his money, his influence, his past. But she never imagined he would involve himself in her life. Darius sized him up with a scoff. "You some tourist. Don't come into our business with your—" Jinhyuk's fist connected with Darius's jaw so fast Naomi barely saw it. Darius hit the ground, groaning in shock. Naomi's heart slammed into her ribs. "Stop, please, just don't." Jinhyuk didn't move toward Darius again. Instead, he looked at Naomi. Really looked. His eyes flickered downward, landing on her bruised cheek, then the wrist she was cradling. "He did this?" Naomi swallowed hard. "It's nothing. I'm fine." "You're not fine," Jinhyuk said, voice low. "And this wasn't nothing." Darius scrambled to his feet, clutching his jaw, rage burning through him. "This ain't over, Naomi. You hear me? This ain't—" Jinhyuk took one step forward, and Darius ran. Just ran. The parking lot fell into a heavy silence, broken only by Naomi's shaky breath and the distant hum of late-night traffic. She bent down to grab her dropped keys, but her fingers trembled too much to pick them up. Jinhyuk crouched beside her and picked them up instead. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he murmured, handing the keys back to her. Naomi pulled her hand away, hugging her injured arm to her chest. "I didn't ask for your help." "No," he said, "but you needed it." His calm certainty made her chest tighten. She hated that he was right, hated that someone like him, a man who didn't even know her, saw her weakness. She turned away. "I'm going home. You're hurt." "It's nothing." Her voice cracked. Jinhyuk didn't touch her, but his presence felt like a warm wall at her back. Steady, unyielding. "Is your daughter okay?" Naomi froze. "How do you know I have a daughter?" He hesitated before answering. "I've seen her in the staff lounge. She waits for you every night. She always looks tired." Naomi's throat tightened. She hated that too, that someone noticed. Jinhyuk stepped back, giving her space. "Let me walk you to your car." "No." It came out too fast, too sharp. "I don't want any trouble." He met her eyes, unwavering. "Trouble has already found you." Naomi's breath hitched. She didn't respond. She couldn't. She walked toward her old Toyota, clutching her wrist against her chest so the movement wouldn't hurt. Jinhyuk followed from a distance, not close enough to crowd her, but close enough to make sure Darius didn't return. She unlocked the car, but before she could start it, he spoke again. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Naomi." He nodded once. "Naomi, if he comes back, call hotel security or call me." She frowned. "You're a guest. I don't even have your number." Jinhyuk's lips twitched. Almost. A hint of a smile, gone too fast to be sure. "Then remember my room. Penthouse A." She stared at him, baffled. "Why are you doing this? You don't know me." His answer was simple. "I don't need to know you to see you." That sentence unsettled her more than Darius's presence had. A stranger shouldn't see her, shouldn't notice the bruises she tried to hide, or the exhaustion she fought to bury. That wasn't how her life worked. Naomi was invisible. It had protected her, hidden her, kept her moving. But Jinhyuk had looked right through her invisibility like it was thin glass. She drove away without another word, but his voice followed her into the night. "I see you." Lena was asleep in the back seat when Naomi pulled up to their small one-bedroom apartment. Naomi brushed a curl from her daughter's cheek, her heart squeezing at the sight. Lena deserved better than this. Better than late-night shifts and cheap meals. Better than fear. Naomi lifted her gently, ignoring the stabbing pain in her wrist, and carried her inside. Once Lena was settled in bed, Naomi collapsed on the bathroom floor, her breath shaking as she pressed ice to her wrist. "This can't keep happening." She whispered it too, herself like a broken prayer. But the moment she closed her eyes, all she saw was Jinhyuk grabbing Darius's arm, stopping the blow she had expected. His voice echoed in her ears. "I see you." She hated how much it affected her. She hated even more that, for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel completely alone. The next night at the hotel, Naomi kept her head down as usual, but she felt him watching her. Not in a predatory way. More like someone studying a puzzle he intended to solve. Every time she turned a corner, he seemed to be there, silent, unreadable, observing. At one point, she was dusting a hallway table when her wrist gave out. A vase wobbled, and she winced, clutching her arm. Jinhyuk caught the vase before it fell. Naomi jerked back. "Stop sneaking up on me." "I wasn't sneaking," he said. "You're just quiet. You're too observant." His gaze dropped to her wrist. "You should see a doctor." "I can't afford that." He looked like he wanted to argue. Naomi shut it down. "Please don't get involved in my life." "I already am." "I don't want you to be." His voice softened. "I know." She stepped away quickly before she could feel anything. Anger, gratitude, fear, maybe all at once. Behind her, she heard him exhale slowly. "Naomi," he called softly. She didn't turn. "You don't have to be invisible." Her heart stumbled. She kept walking. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to tap the like button and drop a comment. Your support helps the channel grow and lets me know you want part 2. Jalen didn't realize she'd been holding her breath until Minjun stepped toward her. His eyes were the only steady thing in the entire storm of adrenaline swirling around her. She hated how much comfort she found in them. Maybe because nothing else felt safe. Maybe because she was too tired to pretend she wasn't terrified. Maybe because she finally felt the weight of the night crashing down on her shoulders. "Look at me," Minjun said quietly, as if pulling her back from the edge. "You're safe here. Just breathe." But she shook her head, her voice trembling. "Safe? I was almost kidnapped. Twice. In one night." Minjun swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. He didn't argue. He didn't tell her she was overreacting. He simply stood there, absorbing every tremor in her voice like he'd carry it for her if she'd let him. Then he surprised her. He gently took the torn edge of her jacket sleeve, inspecting it like it was evidence of a crime. Blood speckled the fabric from where she'd scraped her arm sliding behind that dumpster. Something dark flickered through his eyes. That wasn't a random man, he murmured. He didn't move like someone drunk or stupid. He knew what he wanted. And what did he want? She whispered. Minjun's eyes lifted to hers. You. Only you. She wrapped her arms around herself. The night air suddenly felt colder. Before she could respond, the back door of the shop swung open and Minjun's uncle, Mr. Han, poked his head out. His brows shot up when he saw her. He rushed over, his voice soft and fatherly. Aigo, what happened to you, child? Jalen could barely get the words out. Someone tried to drag me into a car. Mr. Han's face fell with horror. Come in, we call police. No, Minjun cut in sharply. Too sharply. Mr. Han blinked, taken aback. Minjun. No police, Minjun repeated, lowering his voice. Not yet. Jalen's head snapped toward him. What? Why not? Minjun ran a hand through his hair, pacing once before answering. Because whoever that man was, he wasn't working alone. If we alert cops too fast, we'll scare the wrong people and you'll be in more danger. Jalen stared at him, mouth parted. Oh my God, how would you even know that? He paused. Something unspoken hung between them. Heavy. Dangerous. Too knowledgeable. I've seen men like him before, he said finally. You said he asked for your name? Like he was sure you were the right person? She nodded. He said, come here, Jalen. Like he knew me. Then this was targeted, Minjun said. And targeted attacks never start with the weakest try. They test you first. Her stomach dropped. You think he'll come back? Yes, Minjun answered without hesitation. He will. She stared at him, the world narrowing again. He met her gaze and didn't look away. Which is why you're staying here tonight, he added. Her eyes widened. What? No, I can't. You're not going home alone, he said firmly. I'm not letting you walk into a place they may already be watching. Shock numbed her voice. Why do you even care this much? You barely know me. At that, Minjun stopped. The silence that followed was sharp. He stepped toward her with a careful slowness, like she was something he didn't want to scare. Because when I saw you running, he said quietly, I knew if I let anything happen to you, I'd never forgive myself. Her breath caught. And because... He hesitated. I know what fear looks like. I know what it means to be hunted. The words hung in the air, heavy, revealing more than he intended. Jalen didn't know what to say. She didn't know this man. Not really. But the look in his eyes wasn't something you could fake. It was something carved from experience. Something painful. Before she could respond, Mr. Han cleared his throat. I make tea. Something warm. He disappeared inside, leaving the two of them alone again. Jalen swallowed thickly, her eyes drifting toward the street. The darkness seemed alive, breathing, watching. Okay, she murmured. I'll stay. Minjun exhaled like he'd been holding that breath for minutes. He gestured toward the shop door. Come inside. She followed him in. The bell above the door jingled softly, sounding strangely out of place after a night filled with shouting and footsteps and fear. The shop smelled of roasted beans and cinnamon, comforting in a way that made her knees weak. She sat while Mr. Han made tea. Her hands trembled around the warm mug when he placed it before her. You rest, he said kindly. We lock doors. Nobody coming inside. Minjun stood by the front window, peering through a tiny slit in the blinds. He didn't look away from the street for even a second. Jalen watched him, her voice barely above a whisper. You're really expecting him to show up here? I'm expecting him to try, Minjun replied. People like him don't like failing. People like him? Minjun, you keep saying things like that. What do you know? She pressed. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled the blind down, blocking the street completely. He turned toward her, his jaw clenched. Enough to know this is only the beginning, he said. Her stomach twisted. Tell me, she pushed. Tell me what you think is going on. Before he could respond, Mr. Han placed a hand on his nephew's arm. Minjun, careful. Jalen's eyes widened at that. Minjun shook his uncle's hand off gently but with finality. She deserves the truth, he said. Someone was following her, not for robbery, not for random violence. He was trying to take her. Jalen's heart pounded. Why me? Minjun stepped closer, sitting across from her. He lowered his voice, the tone shifting into something darker. Earlier tonight, he said, while you were walking, did you notice anything strange? Her mind raced through every moment, every street she'd crossed, every sound she'd heard. I kept hearing footsteps, she admitted. But I thought I was imagining it. You weren't, Minjun said. She looked up at him, her voice small. How do you know? He didn't blink. Because I heard them too. Her breath froze. What? You were following me? No, he said instantly. Not you. Him. I was watching him. She stared at him in disbelief. You were watching the man who chased me? Before it even happened? Yes. The room fell silent. Why? She demanded. A muscle in Minjun's jaw trembled. Because he fit a pattern. A pattern of what? People who work in trafficking rings, he said quietly. Jalen felt her chest cave in. Oh my God. But the way he moved, the way he called your name, this isn't normal, Minjun continued. This isn't how they usually do things. Someone with money wanted you specifically. Someone who already knows who you are. Her mouth went dry. Why would anyone want me? Minjun looked at her like he wished he had an answer. I don't know. Not yet. But you think you can find out? I know I can, he corrected. She stared into his eyes, into that unwavering certainty, and for the first time since the nightmare began, a small flicker of safety settled inside her. Not trust. Not yet. But something close. Before she could speak, the bell above the door jingled softly. All three of them froze. Mr. Han whispered, voice shaking. I locked door? Minjun was already moving. He grabbed Jalen's wrist and pulled her behind the counter gently but urgently. Stay down, he murmured. Do not move. Then he stepped out, his posture shifting into something sharp, lethal, nothing like the soft-spoken barista she'd met minutes ago. His voice was ice when he spoke toward the entrance. We're closed. Silence. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. She waited for footsteps, breathing, anything. Then, a low male voice answered from outside. I know. I'm not here for coffee. Jalen's blood turned to ice. Minjun's hands curled into fists. Then what do you want? The voice paused. I'm looking for a girl. Jalen's lungs seized. Minjun didn't move. No one here fits that description. Oh, I think you have exactly who I'm looking for. The voice purred. She slapped a hand over her mouth. Minjun stepped closer to the door but didn't open it. Leave. A soft chuckle. She comes with me. Willingly, if she knows what's good for her. Jalen's stomach flipped. Then the voice leaned closer to the door, so close she could hear his breath through the thin wood. Tell Jalen I said hello. Her body went cold. Completely cold. Minjun snapped. Get away from the shop, he growled. Oh, I will, the man said casually. For tonight. Footsteps retreated. Slowly, mockingly. The bell didn't ring again. He never entered. He had just stood at the door. Listening, smirking, taunting. Minjun waited a full minute before unlocking the door, not to open it, but to double-check the bolt. His hands trembled with anger he barely contained. He turned to Jalen, who was frozen on the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks silently. He crouched beside her, his voice trembling with something she hadn't expected. Fear. He knows your name, Minjun whispered, and now he knows where to find you. She sobbed, shaking her head. Minjun, what am I supposed to do? He lifted her chin gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. You're not doing anything, he said. I am. What does that mean? It means, he said, voice low and final, I'm not letting anyone take you. Not while I'm breathing. Her heart twisted. Something about the way he said it made her chest tighten painfully. She swallowed hard. Why are you helping me? You barely know me. Minjun stared at her for a long moment, fighting with something inside him. Then he exhaled, defeated. Because you remind me of someone I couldn't save. Her breath trembled. Who? My sister. The words shattered the air between them. Before Jalen could speak, before she could process anything, Minjun's phone buzzed. He looked down at the screen, his face drained of color. She saw the text over his shoulder. A picture of her, taken tonight, from behind, while she was walking home, and underneath it, next time, I won't miss. Jalen's scream caught in her throat. Minjun looked at her with fire in his eyes. They're escalating, he said, and they're watching us. Jalen's pulse exploded. What do we do now? He grabbed his coat and keys. We run. But where? A place they won't think to look, he said, guiding her toward the back door. She stumbled after him, adrenaline crashing through her veins. Minjun, what if they follow? They won't. How do you know? He opened the door into the cold night. Because I'm done letting them hunt you. He pulled her outside, into the shadows. And now, he whispered, we hunt them. The cold hit Jalen like a slap, but Minjun didn't slow down. He kept her close, walking with the urgency of a man who knew every second counted. His hand wrapped around her wrist. Not harsh, but firm enough to say, you're not slipping away from me. Not tonight. Not ever. They cut down a dim alley behind the coffee shop. Jalen's heart hammered so violently she could barely feel the ground beneath her feet. Minjun, she whispered, breathless. Where are we going? Somewhere they don't know, he said, checking behind them again. We need to get off the main streets. No cameras. No obvious patterns. His pace quickened. For a brief second, Jalen wondered what kind of regular barista talked like this. What kind of barista anticipated kidnappers? What kind of barista saw the signs before they even happened? And what kind of barista walked like he'd been trained for something far darker? Minjun, she finally said, breath catching. You're not telling me something. You know too much. Later, he said, not looking back. When you're safe. She grabbed his sleeve, forcing him to face her. You said the same thing earlier, but I'm not going anywhere with you until you stop treating me like some fragile package. His expression softened, barely. You're not fragile. Then tell me, she demanded. Who are you? His jaw twitched. He opened his mouth, then abruptly grabbed her shoulders and shoved her behind a dumpster. Jalen reacted too slowly to understand, but she heard it. Footsteps. 2 sets. Heavy. Measured. Intentional. Minjun raised one finger toward his lips, urging silence. The footsteps grew louder until 2 silhouettes appeared at the mouth of the alley. One tall, broad, the other leaner, with a posture too straight to be casual. They stopped feet away. I swear I heard them come this way, the tall one muttered. Boss said she has long braids, the other whispered, and a ripped jacket sleeve. Hard to miss. Jalen pressed a hand against her mouth. Minjun didn't move, didn't breathe. His body shifted in front of her, shielding her completely. The tall man kicked a bottle on the ground. Stupid girl can't have gotten far. She's not alone, the lean one said. The tracker said she met someone. Asian male, early 20s. Tracker? Jalen's heart dropped. The man continued. Boss wants the girl alive, but he said nothing about the guy. The tall one cracked his knuckles. Then let's find him first. They turned, heading deeper into the alley, straight toward where Minjun and Jalen were hiding. Jalen panicked. Her body went rigid. Minjun leaned close, whispering so quietly she barely caught it. When I say run, you run. Her breath stuttered. What about you? He didn't answer, because the men were almost there. 3 steps away. 2. 1. Minjun exploded into motion. He lunged forward, grabbing the taller man by the jacket and slamming him into the brick wall. The man choked. Stunned. The lean one swung, but Minjun ducked, sweeping his legs out in one clean move. The alley filled with the sickening thud of bodies hitting pavement. Jalen! Run! She hesitated. Just for a second, but Minjun's voice cut through the panic. Go! Her legs finally obeyed, and she sprinted down the alley, lungs burning, eyes stinging. She didn't know where she was going, only away. Behind her, she heard one of the men roar in anger, followed by the sound of fists connecting, grunts, and crashing metal. She dared one glance back and instantly regretted it. One of the men had Minjun pinned, elbow against his throat. No, she gasped. Minjun locked eyes with her. Don't stop, he rasped. But she couldn't leave him. Not after everything he'd done. She grabbed a broken pipe from the ground, she didn't even think, and threw it as hard as she could. It hit the lean man directly across the back of his head. He stumbled, grip loosening for half a second. Half a second was all Minjun needed. He twisted, knocked the man's arm aside, and drove his knee into his ribs. The man dropped, gasping. The taller man charged. Jalen, move! Minjun shouted. She darted aside just as the big man barreled past her, grabbing for her hood. His fingers brushed the fabric, just inches, but Minjun collided with him, slamming him into a chain-link fence so violently the metal sang. The tall man crumpled. The lean one groaned, struggling upright. Minjun didn't even give him a chance. He stepped forward and delivered a clean strike that sent the man right back to the ground. Breathing hard, Minjun grabbed Jalen's hand. We have seconds before they call backup. She stared at him. Really stared. The quiet cafe worker was gone. In his place stood someone dangerous, trained, someone who didn't hesitate when lives were at stake. But his hand trembled as it held hers. And that tremble wasn't fear. It was adrenaline. Minjun, she whispered, voice shaking. What are you? His eyes softened, just for her. Someone who should have stayed out of this, he murmured. But I'm in it now. He pulled her into another alley and kept moving until the sounds of the fight dissolved behind them. They reached a small metal door behind an abandoned laundromat. Minjun punched in a code on the keypad, too quickly for this to be a random place. The lock clicked. He opened the door and ushered her in. Jalen stepped inside a dim room filled with dust, old furniture, and nothing else. This is your safe place? She asked, bewildered. It's off the grid, he said, bolting the door. I used it years ago. For what? He hesitated, again. Then he finally answered. To disappear. She swallowed hard, understanding settling in like a weight. Minjun, are you in trouble? Is this because of something you did? He shook his head. No, it's because of something that was done to me. He sat down on an old crate and motioned for her to sit. She didn't. Her legs wouldn't stop shaking. She paced instead, trying to force oxygen into her lungs. What do they want with me? She whispered. Why me? I don't know yet, he admitted. But they've escalated too fast. That means your timeline, whatever they had planned, is collapsing. They're getting desperate. Her stomach twisted. You're talking like this is normal for you. It used to be, he said softly. She turned toward him. Tell me everything. Please. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly. My sister, Mireille, was taken when she was 16, he began. His voice grew tight. Police did nothing. My parents were too scared to push, so I searched for her myself. Jalen froze. I got too close, he continued. Found the wrong people, or the right ones, depending how you look at it. What happened? I lived, he said. She didn't. The quiet finality of those words shattered something inside the room. Jalen's breath hitched. Minjun, I'm so sorry. He didn't look away. I see Mirai in you. The way you fight. The way you don't want to be a burden. The way you ask questions even when you're terrified. Her chest tightened painfully. But this time, he whispered, I refuse to lose. She sank onto a crate across from him, her voice breaking. I don't want you risking your life for me. It's not a risk if I've already decided, he said. She shook her head. Don't say things like that. Jalen, he cut in gently. They will come for you again? And next time, they won't send amateurs. She bit her lip hard, fighting tears. Then what do we do? Minjun leaned forward, elbows on his knees. We turn the hunt around, he said. We find out who they are, why they want you, and we stop them. How? She asked, voice trembling. He lifted his phone. The screen was cracked from the earlier fight, but it still worked. I can track the number that sent that picture. Scramble the route, follow the signal back. Her blood ran cold. Minjun, that's dangerous. For them, he murmured. She stared at him, torn between fear and a dawning sense of security she didn't want to acknowledge. No one had ever fought for her like this. No one had ever looked at her like she mattered more than his own safety. Before she could say anything, Minjun's phone vibrated again. Another message. He read it, and his expression darkened. Jalen leaned in. What does it say? He turned the screen so she could see. Another photo. This time, not of her. It was her apartment door, shot from inches away. Under it, the message. Hurry home, we're waiting. Jalen's knees buckled. They're already there, she whispered. Minjun stood instantly. Then we stay far away. No, we can't just hide forever, she argued, desperation creeping into her tone. They're watching everywhere. Not everywhere, Minjun said. There's one place they won't anticipate. She frowned. Where? He stepped close, too close, and brushed a stray braid behind her ear. The touch was gentle, grounding. A place connected to Mirai, he said softly. Her breath caught. Why there? His eyes softened with something achingly vulnerable. Because it's the one place they won't think I'd ever return to. She didn't know exactly what he meant, but she knew one thing. Wherever he went, she was going too. He grabbed an old bag from under a tarp, slung it over his shoulder, and offered her his hand. Ready? He asked. No. She was not ready. Not for this. Not for running. Not for being hunted. Not for any of it. But she still took his hand. Let's go. They slipped into the night again. Neither of them knew the truth waiting ahead. That Mirai wasn't the only reason this place mattered. That the past Minjun tried to bury was already clawing its way back. That Jalen's connection to this nightmare was far older than she could imagine, and that the man hunting her knew exactly where they were going. The city felt colder the farther they walked. Streetlights flickered overhead like dying stars, and Jalen couldn't shake the pulse of fear crawling up her spine. Minjun didn't let go of her hand, not even once. His grip wasn't possessive. It was steady, like he was anchoring her to the earth while everything else around them spun out of control. They moved through narrow alleys and silent neighborhoods until they reached the industrial district, Rows of old warehouses, rusted fences, and long-abandoned loading docks. Minjun finally slowed near a faded building marked Han & Sons Textile, its windows dark, its sign peeling. Jalen swallowed. This is the place connected to Mirai? He didn't answer right away. He walked up to a side door, pressed his palm against a dusty panel, and the lock clicked open with a faint chime. "This used to be my family's factory," he said quietly. "We lived upstairs. Before everything fell apart." She followed him inside, and the air smelled like old cotton and forgotten dreams. The floorboards creaked under her boots. Dust danced in the glow of Minjun's phone flashlight. There were photographs nailed crookedly along a hallway. Workers folding fabric, children playing near the machines, a younger Minjun smiling shyly beside a girl who had the same bright eyes. "Mireille," Jalen whispered, touching the photo gently. He stopped behind her. She was stubborn, brave, annoying, loud, way louder than me. A ghost of a smile tugged at his mouth. "She would have liked you." Jalen swallowed. "I wish I could have met her." He nodded once, eyes distant. Then he turned away, leading her deeper inside. They reached a small office space with 2 dusty cots pushed against the wall, boxes stacked in the corners, and a battery-powered lantern on a metal desk. Minjun set the lantern down and switched it on. The room glowed softly. "This'll work for tonight," he said, scanning the walls as if checking for danger hiding in the shadows. Jalen placed her hands on her knees and exhaled shakily. "I didn't think today could get worse. But this is insane, Minjun. My apartment door? Those men? You fighting like you've done this 1,000 times?" He didn't deny it. "What aren't you telling me?" she asked again, voice cracking. "What did I get dragged into?" He looked at her long enough that she realized he was deciding how much truth she could handle, but before he could speak, his phone vibrated again. Jalen flinched. "Who is it?" she whispered. Minjun lifted the screen, a number he didn't recognize. One message, one photo. He clicked it. Jalen's stomach dropped. It was a picture of the outside of the textile factory, taken from across the street, taken minutes ago. Beneath it, "Nice choice. We know that place." Jalen's breath stuttered. How are they finding us so fast?" Minjun didn't respond. His brows tightened, jaw clenched. He walked toward a dusty file cabinet, yanked open the bottom drawer, and pulled out a small metallic box. He opened it. Inside were 2 old flip phones, a USB stick, and a stack of faded photographs. He grabbed the USB and tossed one of the phones to Jalen. "Turn it on. Don't touch anything else." She powered it up, hands trembling. The device buzzed. Instantly, messages flowing in, one after another, rapid, endless. "Minjun." Her voice was barely a whisper. "This thing has been receiving messages for years." "It's connected to people I used to work with," he said. "People who owe me favors, people who owe me information." "Who are you?" she murmured again, but he was already connecting the USB to an old laptop sitting on the desk. The screen booted up, glitchy but working. A map appeared, with red blinking dots scattered across the city. "What are those?" Jalen asked, stepping closer. "Checkpoints," Minjun said. "Places the group you're caught up in uses for surveillance." She froze. "Caught up in? I never signed up for any of this." "And yet they're after you," he said softly. "That means you matter to them. Maybe more than I realized." Her mouth went dry. "Why me? I'm nobody." He finally looked at her. Really looked. "No," he said quietly. "You're not." The sincerity in his voice stole her breath. But then something on the map blinked faster. Louder. A red dot. Right near their building. Moving. Jalen's heart lurched. "They're here." Minjun didn't panic. He shut off the laptop, grabbed the lantern, and motioned for her to follow him out the back. They entered the stairwell that led to the upper floor. The steps creaked loudly. Jalen clutched the railing. Minjun, if they know this place, how are we safe? We're trapped. Not trapped, he said. Prepared. The way he said it made her skin prickle. At the top of the stairs was a narrow hallway with a dead end. Minjun stopped halfway, placed his hand against the wall, and pushed. A section of the wall slid open silently. Jalen's eyes widened. A hidden room? My father built it when he started getting threats from the gangs he refused to pay protection money to, Minjun said. Mirai and I used to hide in here during riots. He stepped inside and pulled her with him. The room was small, lined with old crates and blankets, but sealed and soundproof. He closed the door. Darkness swallowed them until the lantern flickered on again. Jalen pressed her back against the wall, trying to steady her breathing. The weight of everything crushed her chest. Will you finally tell me the truth now? About who you really are? Minjun rested his head back against the opposite wall. The lantern cast soft shadows across his face, making him look older, more tired. I was 17 when Mirai was taken, he began. I tracked the men who did it, followed them into the underworld, learned their roots, their bosses, their methods. I infiltrated their network. You joined the people who killed her? She whispered, horrified. No, he said. I joined the people who hunted them. Jalen blinked. What does that even mean? It means I worked with a group that dismantled trafficking rings. Off the books, no police, no rules. We took down 10 networks in 3 years, but the last one, the one tied to Mirai, caught us. He exhaled sharply, eyes darkening. They tortured me for information, but I didn't break. Someone helped me escape, but I couldn't save my teammates. Couldn't save Mirai. He looked down at his hands, as if remembering blood that wasn't there anymore. I disappeared after that. Cut ties. Changed everything. Tried to build a quiet life. Jalen stared at him, disbelief and heartbreak mixing in her eyes. And then I walked into your cafe. His lips twitched in a sad half-smile. And then you walked into my cafe. They didn't speak for a while. Outside, faint footsteps echoed through the factory, sharp, deliberate, unmistakably searching. Jalen's pulse thrummed in her ears. Minjun, she whispered urgently. They're inside. He nodded, listening. More footsteps. Then a low voice. Check the office. He always keeps something important there. Jalen grabbed Minjun's arm, fingers digging in. They know you. They knew you'd come here. Yes, he said quietly. Which means this isn't about your delivery job, or you being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Her throat tightened. Then what is it about? He looked at her with something heartbreaking in his eyes, something that felt like he'd known this moment was coming. You, Jalen, he said softly. It's always been about you. She shook her head in denial. I don't know these people. I've never met them. He hesitated. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. A photograph. Old, worn, edges ripped. He handed it to her. Jalen stared at the image. 2 children sitting on concrete steps. One was unmistakably Minjun, younger, smiling shyly. Beside him was a girl with 2 braids and a missing tooth. And on the other side, Jalen's breath evaporated, because the 3rd child in the picture was her. Her. Younger. Braids. Laughing. This can't be real, she whispered. Minjun's voice was gentle. Your mom worked with my dad. You and Mirai played together every day before everything went wrong. But when the factory shut down and my family fell apart, you and your mother moved back to Georgia. You would have been 6. Her vision blurred. I don't remember any of this. You blocked it out, he said. Children do that with trauma. What trauma? she whispered, voice trembling. He didn't answer. Because outside the hidden room, a man's voice echoed through the factory. "Bring the gasoline. If they're here, we smoke them out." Jalen's blood froze. Minjun grabbed her hand, eyes burning with determination. "We move now," he whispered. "There's a tunnel under this room. It connects to the old loading docks." He dropped to his knees and rolled back a high crate, revealing a wooden trapdoor. Jalen stared at it, heart pounding. "Minjun, this is too much. This is insane." He cupped her cheek, thumb brushing her skin in a way that made her breath catch. "I'm not losing you again," he murmured. "Not like her." He lifted the trapdoor. Cold, stale air rose from below. "Go," he urged. "I'll follow." She hesitated, but the sound of something breaking outside the wall made her decision for her. She climbed down. Minjun followed, pulling the door shut above them. Darkness surrounded them as they crawled through the narrow brick tunnel. Jalen forced back tears, forced back panic, forced herself to keep going. "Minjun," she whispered into the dark, voice cracking. "Why are they doing this? Why are they after me?" He placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. "The truth is coming," he said softly. "But once you hear it, you can't unhear it." Her breath trembled. "Then tell me," she whispered. "Tell me everything." He took a deep breath. "The man hunting you," he said quietly. "He's the one who took Mirai." Jalen's heart stopped. "And he didn't just take her," Minjun continued. "He was after a list. A specific set of names." She turned to face him in the darkness. "What names?" He looked at her with an expression equal parts fear and sorrow. "Children," he said. "Children who witnessed something he shouldn't have done. You, Mirai, and one more." Jalen's lips parted. "What did we see?" Minjun swallowed. "You saw him kill someone." Her blood turned to ice. "And Jalen," his voice broke slightly. "The man he killed? Was your father?" Her scream caught in her throat. Minjun grabbed her, holding her up as her legs gave out. "I'm sorry," he whispered fiercely. "I'm so sorry." But footsteps echoed above them. Voices, metal, gasoline sloshing. They were out of time. Minjun tightened his grip on her hand. "We run. Now." And together, they sprinted through the darkness, toward the truth, toward danger, toward a past that refused to stay buried. Amara didn't scream. She couldn't. Her breath locked inside her chest as Lucas charged toward them, his feet slamming against the pavement like he intended to break the ground. Yena grabbed Amara's arm, ready to pull her behind her, but Daehyun moved faster than both of them. He stepped forward, one swift motion, placing himself directly between Lucas and the women. His voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Not one more step." Lucas skidded to a stop, nostrils flaring, eyes wild. "You think you can tell me what to do? You think you can hide her?" Daehyun didn't blink. "I'm not hiding her. I'm protecting her." The words slammed into Amara harder than Lucas ever had. Yena squeezed her hand. It was the first time she realized Daehyun wasn't doing any of this out of obligation. He meant every word. Lucas's laugh came out cracked and spiraling. "You think she's worth protecting? She's mine." "She doesn't belong to you," Daehyun replied calmly. "Step back." Lucas lunged. It happened so fast that Amara barely caught it with her eyes. Daehyun shifted his weight, grabbed Lucas by his jacket collar, and slammed him against the brick wall beside the alley's exit. The force shook dust loose. Lucas choked, feet scrambling. Daehyun's voice dropped to something dark. "If you ever touch her again, if you ever breathe in her direction again, I will make sure you don't walk back out of this city." Lucas spat in his face. Daehyun didn't flinch. He tightened his grip. "Look at her," he growled. "Look at what you did to her. Do you feel big? Powerful?" Lucas wheezed. She made me. No, Daehyun snapped. You made choices. And now, you live with what comes after them. Amara stepped forward without thinking. Daehyun, she whispered. His head turned slightly at the sound of her voice, and that tiny distraction allowed Lucas to twist free. He shoved Daehyun backward and bolted toward her. Amara stumbled back. Yena yanked her out of the way. Daehyun launched forward, catching Lucas by the arm before he reached them. Lucas twisted, but Daehyun's hold was iron. The sound of sirens echoed faintly, not near, but not far either. Lucas froze. Daehyun's voice was low. Leave. Now. If you're still in this district in the next hour, I'll make that phone call myself. Lucas looked at Amara one last time, hate burning, but something trembling under it, and then ran, disappearing between two warehouse buildings. Silence stretched out. Amara was shaking, not from fear, from release. Yena wrapped her in a brief, fierce hug before stepping back. You're safe, Yena whispered. Let's go inside. Daehyun watched Amara for a moment, his breathing steady even though he'd just fought off a grown man with nothing more than precision and intention. When they walked back inside, the warmth of the building swallowed them. Amara didn't realize she was crying until Daehyun handed her a soft towel from the bar counter. She wiped her cheeks, embarrassed. I'm sorry. For what? He asked. For causing trouble. Daehyun stepped closer, gently taking the towel from her hands. You didn't cause anything. Someone else made you feel small long enough that now you think you're responsible for the world's chaos. Amara dropped her gaze. Maybe. Look at me, he said softly. She lifted her head. His eyes were steady, dark, grounding. You're not trouble, he said. You're someone who deserves safety, and respect, and peace. Something in her chest cracked open. Yena cleared her throat dramatically. Well, I'm going to go get bagels. Because that was too much emotional intensity for an empty stomach. Daehyun's lips twitched. You eat every 2 hours? That's because food is the only stable thing in my life, she said, sweeping her purse off the counter. Back in 10. Try not to fall in love while I'm gone. Amara almost choked. Daehyun rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly looking almost shy. After Yena left, silence settled again. Calmer this time. Daehyun leaned against the counter, crossing his arms, looking at her with something gentler than before. Do you want to talk about anything? He asked. Amara shook her head. Not yet. I don't know how. That's fine, he said. You can talk when you're ready. Or never if that's what you want. His respect for her silence felt more healing than anything she'd heard in years. Amara sat down slowly, breathing in the scent of freshly cleaned floors and warm kitchen air. Her hands trembled only slightly now. Daehyun watched her quietly. I want to ask you something. She nodded. Do you want to stay here for a few days? He asked. Just until things settle. Her heart thudded. Stay here? With you? He nodded. In the guest room, it's safe, private. No one bothers it, and you'll have food, comfort, rest. Amara hesitated. I don't want to impose. You won't. His voice deepened subtly. I don't offer things I don't mean. Her breath caught. You can say no, he added softly, but I'd feel better knowing you're somewhere safe. It wasn't that she fully trusted him. It was that, for the first time in so long, her body wasn't screaming danger in his presence. Instead, it whispered something unfamiliar. Safety. She nodded slowly. Okay, I'll stay. Relief flickered across his face so quickly she barely caught it. He straightened. Good, I'll set it up. You can rest as long as you need. She swallowed. Thank you. You don't need to thank me, he said. But I like your voice when you say it. Her cheeks warmed. Before she could respond, the door opened again. Yena returned with an armful of food and a dramatic sigh. You two? Nothing happened? Ugh, boring. Daehyun shot her a look. Yena. What? She huffed. I'm rooting for the main characters. Amara laughed under her breath. It surprised even her. It felt good. It felt light. But Daehyun's eyes lingered on her laugh, soft and warm, as if hearing it was the highlight of his morning. Her life had changed in the span of a night. She wasn't sure where this new path would lead, but she knew one thing with certainty. She wasn't going back. And for the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a door opening. Daehyun led Amara upstairs after breakfast, though breakfast was really Yena convincing her to eat half a bagel while shoving the other half into her own mouth. The hallway was warm, softly lit. Nothing like the sterile hotel corridors Amara remembered from a lifetime ago. At the very end was a door Daehyun opened carefully, like he didn't want to startle her with even the sound of it. This is the guest room, he said, stepping aside so she could walk in first. The room was simple but beautiful, muted gray walls, a thick comforter folded neatly across the bed, soft lighting from a lamp with a warm shade. It didn't smell like cologne or cleaning chemicals. It smelled like cedarwood and something faintly sweet. Clean. Safe. Amara touched the comforter without thinking. It's nice. Daehyun gave a small nod. If you need anything, water, chargers, noise, silence, just tell me. She turned to him. I appreciate it. His eyes softened. You don't have to be afraid here. Her breath hitched. She wasn't used to someone seeing her fear and reassuring her without judgment, without annoyance, without calling her dramatic or sensitive or ungrateful. Rest, he murmured. I'll be downstairs. He reached for the door handle but paused, glancing back. If you want the door open, it can stay open. If you want it closed, that's fine. If you want it locked, that's fine too. Her eyes stung at the unexpected gentleness. Closed is okay. He nodded once and slipped out quietly, letting the latch click softly. Amara sat on the edge of the bed, letting her mind catch up with the last 12 hours. She hadn't been chased before. Not like that. Not with that kind of desperation in Lucas's eyes. Something had changed in him. Something dark. Something that wouldn't stop easily. Her hands shook. She inhaled and exhaled slowly, grounding herself. She lay back on the bed. The mattress wasn't too soft. It didn't dip. It didn't creak. It didn't remind her of old memories she never wanted to relive. And she slept. When she woke, it was late afternoon. The soft overhead light glowed faintly. She blinked at the ceiling, disoriented until the memories returned. Daehyun pulling Lucas off her, the brick wall shuddering, the fear, the safety, the something else she wasn't ready to name. She sat up, rubbing her face. There was a knock. Gentle, barely there. Amara, Daehyun's voice. Are you awake? She opened the door. He was standing there holding a steaming bowl of soup and a small plate with bread. You slept through lunch. You need to eat. You didn't have to bring it up. You were tired, he said simply. And you're a guest. A guest? She couldn't remember the last time she'd been treated like one and not a burden. She accepted the bowl, fingers brushing his. His hand was warm, steady. He didn't step away immediately, but he didn't crowd her either. You okay? He asked quietly. She nodded. Better than earlier. Good. He gestured toward the stairs. Yena wants you to join us downstairs when you're ready. Just a movie. Something to take your mind off today. Amara hesitated. I don't want to interrupt anything. You won't, he said. She made popcorn. It's too much for 2 people. She'll cry if you don't help eat it. Amara couldn't help the small laugh that escaped her. Daehyun's lips curved. There it is again. That's a good sound. Her cheeks warmed, but he didn't tease. He just waited. After she finished eating and freshened up, she went downstairs. Yena cheered dramatically upon seeing her. "She lives! Welcome back, Sleeping Beauty." Amara rolled her eyes with a smile. "You're ridiculous." "And proud of it," Yena retorted. They settled on the couch. Yena sprawled like a cat, Amara sitting at the edge, unsure of her place. Daehyun sat beside her, not close enough to touch, but close enough that she felt the warmth of him. He held the remote but glanced at her instead of the TV. "You okay with this movie?" he asked. She nodded. Halfway through the movie, Yena fell asleep with her head dangling off the side of the couch, a bowl of popcorn balanced dangerously on her stomach. Amara bit back laughter. Daehyun shook his head. "She does this every time," he whispered. "I figured." Amara shifted slightly. Her knee brushed his leg. He froze, not in fear, not in discomfort, but in sharp awareness. He glanced at her, eyes deeper now, darker. "You can tell me to move if I'm too close," he murmured. "You're fine," she whispered. Something flickered across his face, soft, surprised, pleased. They watched the rest of the movie like that, a quiet warmth between them, steady and unspoken. When it ended, Amara stretched, blinking sleep from her eyes. Daehyun stood and gently removed the popcorn bowl from Yena's stomach before it fell. Yena mumbled something incoherent and curled into the couch cushion. "Do you want to go back to bed?" he asked Amara. "Not yet," she admitted. "It's nice here. Quiet." His gaze rested on her face, searching. "Stay as long as you like." Amara's fingers twisted together nervously. "Can I ask you something? Anything? Why are you doing all this for me?" His jaw tightened slightly, like he had to choose his words carefully. "Because you needed help," he said. "And because I see things other people don't pay attention to." "Like what?" "Like the way you flinch at footsteps behind you, but you try to hide it. Or how you shrink into yourself when someone raises their voice. Or how you act like breathing too loudly is an inconvenience." Her throat tightened painfully. "You deserve better than that," he finished quietly. No man had ever said something like that to her. Not without expecting something in return. Not with this much sincerity. She swallowed. "And you don't want anything back?" His eyes held hers. "Not unless you want to give something." Her heart thudded fast. He looked away first, giving her space. "You should get more rest. Tomorrow will be calmer." She nodded, but before she could leave, he gently caught her wrist. Lightly, so lightly she could have stepped away if she wanted. His touch wasn't possessive. It was a question. "If you ever feel unsafe," he murmured, "come find me, even if it's the middle of the night." She exhaled shakily. "Okay." He released her slowly, fingertips lingering only a second. She walked upstairs, her pulse racing, her mind spinning, but her chest felt lighter, safer, not empty like it used to. When she reached the doorway of the guest room, she glanced back down the hall. Daehyun was still standing at the bottom of the stairs, watching to make sure she got to the room okay. When she closed the door, she heard him walk away only after that. Amara pressed a hand to her chest. She wasn't falling for him. No, it was too soon, too complicated, too dangerous. But something inside her recognized something inside him, and for the first time in years, she wanted tomorrow to come. If you've read this far, remember to like the video, comment your favorite moment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life.